Hello dear students, today we'll start a new chapter, that is natural resource. Natural resource. Just observe the term. What is a resource? First of all, let us discuss what is a resource. A resource is something that makes our life, a resource is something that is very much useful to us, that makes our life more convenient, right? That's a resource which is useful, and those resources which are naturally available are termed as natural resources. So broadly, if you see there, the natural resources are of, okay, we'll get back to this. Our planet Earth is the only on which life as we know exists. Life on Earth is dependent on many factors. Many life forms we know need ambient temperature, water and food. The resources available, the earth and energy from the sun are necessary to meet the basic requirement of all life form. See, Earth is the only planet which is an unique planet which have all the systems and all the requirement to support life, right? Earth has all the criterias that help the life to thrive and support life, right? So if you look, if you consider the earth has the right temperature or the ideal temperature to support life. If the temperature is colder than that, there will be no life, and if the temperature is even hotter, there will be no life. So earth has just the required ideal temperature to support life. So along with the temperature, the air composition is also ideal, right? The air composition is also ideal, plus it has water, the soil which also support life. All the things, all these things play an important role. We can say this is a life support system, right? So this is the life support system of earth. So when all these criteria or when all these things are found in ideal amount or ideal condition, we say that is found in ideal condition in earth. That is why our earth support life forms or lives. Now what are the resource of the earth? These are the land, the water and the air. The outer crust of the earth is called the lithosphere. Water covers 75% of the earth's surface. It is also found underground. This comprises the hydrosphere. The air that covers the whole of the earth like a blanket is called the atmosphere. Living things are found where these three exist. The life supporting zone of the earth, where the atmosphere, the hydrosphere and the lithosphere interact, make the life possible, known as the biosphere. Okay, so mainly the resource or the thing that enable or that help the life to support on the earth are air, water and soil, right? So these three things basically help the life form to survive or to grow. So there is air. Air is present on the earth, and the composition of air is in right amount, which help the life form to survive. So air is next there is water. So water content, the water content of earth is around 75%. 75% of water is there, and rest other is the soil content. So when these three things are present in right amount, what happens? Our earth becomes capable of supporting life. So air is found, or the air makes up the atmosphere, and hence the water makes the hydrosphere. Similarly, the soil content of the earth is known as lithosphere. The air content of the earth is known as atmosphere, the water is hydrosphere and soil is lithosphere. So when these three things are capable of supporting life, we say it as biosphere. Bio means life, sphere means environment, right? So biosphere consists of lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere. That's it. Okay, living thing constitute the biotic component. Okay, now this biosphere is again of two type. Biosphere has two type of component on it. One is the biotic component and the other is the abiotic component. It's very simple. Biotic component are those component or are those entities which are living. It may be plant, animal, microorganism, insect. Whereas abiotic component are those component which are non-living. Take soil, water, for example, air, for example. These are a part of the biosphere, whereas they are not living. So hence they are known as abiotic. Now air. We have already talked about the composition of air in the first chapter. It is the mixture of many gases like nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide and water vapor. It is interesting to note that even the composition of air is the result of life of Earth. If the planets such as Venus and Mars were no life known to exist, the major component of atmosphere is found to be carbon dioxide. In fact, carbon dioxide constitutes up to 95 to 97% of the atmosphere in Venus system. So air is a major abiotic component of the biosphere. First of all, we'll discuss it. So the composition of air, you know it, right? You have learned it in your previous classes. Like nitrogen is found in maximum quantity. Nitrogen is around, I think, 78%, I guess. Yeah. Oxygen is around 21, and carbon dioxide and other gas make the 1%. So this is the ideal composition of air or atmosphere in on the earth. But if you talk about the atmospheric composition or air composition of Venus or Mars, which is composed of around 95 to 97% of carbon dioxide. See, this carbon dioxide, since there is a lot of carbon dioxide in their atmosphere, so it does not allow the radiation. Suppose this is the Mars, the radiation coming from the sun, it does not allow the radiation to escape, and hence the temperature of Mars and Venus increases with time. So the same thing is happening with the earth. Since the carbon dioxide composition of the earth is increasing due to burning of fossil fuel, so the composition of the carbon composition is being disturbed, and as a result we see the global warming. We see the global warming. Now let us understand the greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect. Now what is greenhouse effect? It's very simple. Suppose this is the sun. This is the sun. And this is the earth. So what exactly happened? The sun rays come to the earth and it radiates back. Right? It radiates back. So what actually happened when the composition of some greenhouse gases like CO2 increases in the atmosphere? What does happen? When this sun ray radiates, they trap a lot of radiation. This CO2 does what? It absorbs those radiation and traps it. As a result, what happens? The temperature of the earth increases. So this increase in temperature due to the gases. So the gases which absorbs or the gases which trap the radiation are known as greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases like CO2 is a greenhouse gas. So when these greenhouse gases absorb the radiation which finally results in increase in temperature of the earth, this effect is known as the greenhouse effect. Eukaryotic cell and many prokaryotic cell discussed in chapter 5 need oxygen to break down the glucose molecule and get energy for their activity. This result in the production of carbon dioxide, and another process result in the consumption of oxygen. Okay. Production, dioxide, combustion. This include human activities. Okay. Now what are some important function of this air? Suppose our primary if you look in our surrounding, only the green plants. If you look at the green plants, They are the producers. Producer means what? They are the only entity in the environment they can produce their own food. So how do they produce their own food? Very simple, we have learned in previous class. So they use CO2 and water in the presence of sunlight, with the presence of sunlight and of course chlorophyll. They make the food, right? They make food and give out oxygen, right? So this is how plant prepare food. Plus 6H2O. So this is how a plant prepare food. I am breaking down this to you. So okay, let us erase all this number so that it will be easier for you to understand. CO2 is carbon dioxide, you know it, carbon dioxide. H2O is water. This one is the food, you consider food, or this is the oxygen and water. So plant uses carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll to produce food and oxygen and water, right? Now when plant will produce oxygen, this oxygen will be used by us. We'll use this oxygen for our breaking down of food, right? So the green plant are the only producer. They produce food only. So how do they produce food? They produce food by using carbon dioxide from the air, and we rely on this green plant for our food as well. Now one more thing, one more use of the air is combustion. You will know very well, combustion means what? When we burn something is known as combustion. Combustion is, we know, is kind of burning, right? So burning is impossible without oxygen. A very simple example, you take a candle, you light it and you cover it with glass, you will see the candle will put out because there will be will no longer be any oxygen left inside the glass. So oxygen present in the air is also used in combustion. Without oxygen we cannot imagine fire. All right. Okay. Despite this, the percentage of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere in mere fraction of percentage carbon dioxide is fixed into waste. Green plants carbon dioxide, glucose in the present, and marine animal carbonate dissolve in seawater to make their shell. Now how carbon dioxide is used? So once we saw in one criteria we saw plant uses carbon dioxide to prepare their own food, and secondly there are some marine animal or sea animal which use carbon dioxide to prepare their shell. Their shell is made up of carbonates, calcium. Their shell is made up of carbonates. So this carbonate is derived. This carbonate made up of carbonates, and they obtain this carbonate from the carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere. Next up is the role of atmosphere in climate control. Now atmosphere, the role of atmosphere in climate control. Okay, we have talked about the atmosphere covering the earth like a blanket. We know that air is a bad conductor of heat. See, when we talk about atmosphere, remember, suppose this is the earth is surrounded by a blanket of air known as atmosphere. We have discussed it. There are certain layers, like layers of atmosphere, which we will learn later. So it covers the earth like a blanket. We know that air is a bad conductor of heat. Bad conductor of heat means what? What is good conductor and bad conductor? Something that easily absorbs heat are known as good conductor of heat, like metals, and something which do not easily absorb heat are known as bad conductor of heat. A wood might be a bad conductor of heat. The atmosphere keep the average temperature of the earth fairly steady during the earth and during the day. Of course, the whole year the atmosphere prevent the sudden increase of temperature during the daylight hour, and during the night it slows the escape of heat into the outer space. Okay, now again, sun. Suppose this is the sun. So when sunlight falls on the earth, so it does what? When sun rays comes into the earth, so the temperature of the earth does not increase immediately. It heats up, warms up slowly, and which what helps the earth to warm up slowly? This atmosphere, since they are being the bad conductor of heat, they help the earth to warm up slowly, not immediately. And at night when the supply of this sun rays is stopped, at that time this atmosphere help the earth to cool down slowly, so that means what? This atmosphere is a temperature regulator of earth. Now if you look at the surface of the moon, if you look at moon, so moon does not have any atmosphere. So that is why what happened, since moon and earth are almost equal in distance from the sun, but yet we see the temperature fluctuation of moon ranges from 190 degree minus 190 degree Celsius to 110 degree Celsius to 110 degree Celsius. So the highest temperature of moon we see is 110 degree Celsius during night and minus 190 degree Celsius during 110 degree Celsius during day and minus 190 degree Celsius during night. We see there is a very wide fluctuation or wide difference in temperature in moon, because moon does not have any atmosphere, and hence the moon is not able to use the radiation of the sun to keep it maintain its temperature. But we see same is not in the case of earth. Earth uses it, the atmosphere of the earth help to regulate the temperature of earth. Imagine if the temperature of earth drops like the moon 110 degrees Celsius to minus 190 degrees Celsius, so it will be impossible for life form, for earth to support life form at this range of temperature. Now wind, the movement of air, wind. So this one I will make you understand in a very simple way. Now what is wind? Moving air is known as wind. Very simple. Now how do if moving air is called wind, now how do wind move? Now we have to understand the conduction of heat conductors. Now if you look at the temperature, or if you look at the climate weather of a desert, we see the desert become very much hot in during day and very cold during night, but same is not in the case of water. So why? Because since the water is a wet conductor of heat, what does it do? It slowly absorbs the heat and it slowly releases the heat. But same is not in the case of soil or sand. So they do what? They absorb temperature very quickly, but they also release temperature very quickly, and that is why in desert we see the temperature in day is very high and in night it is very low, because they absorb the temperature, or they absorb heat very quickly, and the release is also very quick, right? But in sea we see that the temperature absorbing is also in a slow pace, whereas release is also in a slow pace. Now sea, land. So this one's temperature will increase slowly, this one temperature will increase very rapidly. So when the sun rays will fall, on the sea and on the land, So this one's temperature will increase very rapidly, whereas this one will temperature will increase very slowly. So when temperature or when the air on the land they are heated, they will do what? They will rise upward. They will rise upward. When the air become hot, they do what? They expand and they rise upward. So when the air will rise upward, but here air will rise upward, so there will be a pressure, a low pressure will be created here. A low pressure will be created here. So when the low pressure will be created here, since the air in the sea, near the sea, is not as hot as land, so they will do what? They will move towards the land. They will move towards the land to fill up the low pressure and to maintain equilibrium. So this will allow they will move towards the land to fill up the pressure to maintain the equilibrium, and that is how the movement of air takes place. Now same in night. If we see the same case in night, during night, again the same sea, the same land. The same sea, the same land. At night what will happen? The temperature will drop significantly here, whereas the temperature of sea will be more than the land, because land we saw that land releases the heat very quickly, whereas sea, water does not release heat very quickly. So what? The temperature will be less here and more here. So what will happen? The air will start to move up and create low pressure here. So now at night what will happen? Air will move from land to sea to fill up the low pressure created here. So this is the movement of air, nothing else. So movement of air is basically due to maintain the pressure difference. Alright, now one more reason, it might be due to uneven geographical location. Uneven geographical location. So this could be another reason for movement of air. Alright. In order to gain some understanding the nature has performed, the pattern revealing the smoke out in direction, but since we get heated first, so we have discussed this one. Now rain, okay. Now rain. Let us go. Okay, rain. So in order to understand rain, we have to understand the water cycle. Water cycle is very simple. Very simple. Water cycle. This is a water body. This is the land. Suppose this is a human. This is a tree, right? So due to heat, what will happen? The water vapor will start to evaporate from the water body, and it will start to rise. And since from human or any kind of animal, water vapor or water will be released from their body due to respiration, and water will rise. So, and in plant, due to transpiration, transpiration, when a plant loses a lot of water, this is called frost stomata, is known as transpiration. So water will rise, and they will do what? They will accumulate and form cloud. And when this cloud will become significantly heavy, or when there will be enough cloud, or the temperature will be low, there will be precipitation. Now when we talk about precipitation, there are many forms of precipitation. Rain is a form of precipitation, snow is a form of precipitation, hail is a form of precipitation. So this precipitation depends upon the temperature. Means fall of water from the sky is precipitation. The sky water may fall from the cloud, from the sky or cloud, fall in the form of rain, snow or hail. So these are precipitation. So this will depend upon temperature. If the temperature is moderate, it will form as rain. If the temperature is cold, it will fall as hail. And if the temperature is even more colder, it will fall as snow. That's it. Let's see if there is anything more. Let us go back now to the question, how could clouds are formed during the rain? Okay, we could start by doing some simple experiment which demonstrate the some of the following image. Okay, the above experiment replicates the very small scale. When the water bodies are heated during the day, a large amount of water evaporates, goes into the air, the water cycle which we are talking about. Some amount of water vapor along with the atmosphere because of various biological activities that include respiration and transpiration. These are the biological activities I have discussed, right? Humans and plants, they release water due to various biological activities, respiration, transpiration. These are the biological activities. The air also get heated. The hot air rises up carrying water vapor. When the air get heated, it rises up carrying the water vapor. So basically the water vapor evaporates. When the air condensates to form droplet, this condensation of water facilitated if some particle could not act as a nucleus. Now how these clouds or okay. Now how are drops formed in the clouds? How are water droplets or drop formed? So in order for the drops to form, so there should be a nucleus which could be a sand particle. So when this nucleus or sand particle get very cold, so it will what? It will attract the water droplets around it. So the water droplets around it start to condense, and when it start to condense, it will start to be, grow bigger. The water vapor near around it will also condense due to the drop in temperature of the nucleus, and when it the water vapor will start to gather around it, so it will slowly become bigger and it will form the drop. And similarly, when drops will combine, it will form the cloud. All right. Now rainfall pattern of the country. In order to understand the rainfall pattern of the country, it is very much important for us to understand the geography. Suppose, let me just give you a small example. The geography of a place play a very important role in determining the rainfall of a particular area. Suppose this one. So here it is Bay of Bengal. So what will happen when the water vapor will rise from Bay of Bengal? When water vapor will rise from Bay of Bengal due to evaporation, they will start to move towards the land. And when they will move towards the land, they will carry a lot of water vapor. And when this lot of water vapor, they will move towards the land, they will accumulate somewhere, and they will do what? They will form the rain or precipitation. Similarly, from this side we see the Arabian Sea, from this side we see the Indian Ocean. So the geography of a place is very much important for water, for rain or precipitation. Next up is air pollution. So we have talked about the lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere. Now let us discuss about their pollution, air pollution. So air pollution, I think you have learned about it in your lower classes still. We will discuss it. We keep hearing of the increasing level of oxide of nitrogen and sulfur in the news. People often remain in the fact that the quality of air has gone down since the childhood. How the quality of air is affected? How does the change in quality of life form? The fossil fuel like coal and petroleum contain small amount of nitrogen and sulfur. When these fuels are burned, nitrogen and sulfur too are burned and are product of different oxide of nitrogen and sulfur. Now only is not only the inhalation of these gases. Okay, I'll discuss it in a okay. So from fossil fuel, what does happen? From fossil fuel, sulfur, nitrogen is released. So this sulfur and nitrogen, they will form the sulfuric acid and nitric acid, which will create acid rain, right? Which will create acid rain, which is obviously harmful for us. Now again, we see that some fossil fuel also releases CO2, which is a greenhouse gases. which is greenhouse gas. Fossil fuel, not fuel, combustion of fuel, wood maybe, or yeah, fuel, some fuel, wood, it may be firewood, or yeah, it may be firewood or fossil fuel. Also another one is CO2. It is a greenhouse gas. And what do greenhouse gas do? They create the greenhouse effect. They make the greenhouse effect, which result in increase in temperature of earth, right? Now one more thing which is found is CFC, another type of gas which is found in CFC, chlorofluorocarbon. What do, oh okay, before CFC let us discuss another thing. So when this fossil fuel are not completely combusted or not completely burnt, so this will result in the rise of another gas known as carbon monoxide. Now what do this carbon monoxide do? They will reduce the oxygen carrying capacity of blood, reduce the O2 carrying capacity of blood. Means what? Your blood has more attraction towards CO, carbon monoxide, than oxygen. So if carbon monoxide fills up the space or takes up the space that oxygen needed to take, so this will do what? It will reduce the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood, and hence your blood will be more impure, and you will be susceptible to more respiratory disease and disease related to your blood. One more pollutant is CFC, chlorofluorocarbon. Chlorofluorocarbon, earlier it was used in fridge, refrigerators and some aerosol sprays. This does what? This penetrates, or this affects the protective cover. See, around our earth there is atmosphere, right? But there in the atmosphere there is a layer of ozone, which does what? So the sun releases a lot of harmful UV rays, ultraviolet rays. So this ozone layer protect our earth from those ultraviolet rays, and this ultraviolet rays can cause various kind of skin conditions and skin diseases and various kind of damages to our life form. So this ozone layer, they protect us from this harmful UV rays. So CFC or chlorofluorocarbon does what? It ruptures or it damages the ozone layer, and as a result what happens? The UV rays are able to penetrate and come to the earth and create the damage. That's it in short. Now water, a wonderful liquid. Water occupies a very large area of Earth's surface, and it is also found in underground. Some amount of water exists in the form of water vapor in the atmosphere. Most of the water on the Earth's surface is found in seas and ocean and is saline. Fresh water is found frozen in the ice cap and two poles and snow-covered mountain. The underground and water, rivers, lakes and pond is also fresh. However, the availability of fresh water varies from place to place. Practically every summer, most places have to face shortage of water, and in the rural area where water supply system have been installed, people are forced to spend considerable amount of time in fetching water and faraway source. All right, water we know how important it is for us to sustain our life. So there are many sources of water. There are sea water or ocean water, which of course contain the majority or the lion's share of water. So they are basically saline, which are not usable. There are other water bodies like river, ponds, lake. There are water present found in underground, and water is also present in the form of water vapor in the atmosphere. So these are usable. Water vapor obviously we cannot use, but these are usable. And this sea water and ocean water, so they are not just useless, they play a major role in the water cycle. The major amount of water vapor that form the cloud, the major water that form the cloud, water vapor that form the cloud are obtained or are from the sea or ocean. So they are important in maintaining sea and ocean, although we cannot use them directly, but they are very important in maintaining the water cycle. But why water is so necessary, and why do all organisms require water? All water takes place in water medium. All the reactions that take place within our body and within our cell and between the substance and dissolved water, substance part of the body, organism need to maintain level of water body terrestrial life from. Okay. So what is the use of water exactly? I think it is no need to say to you. So water is used in various biochemical reaction. Biochemical reaction means what? All the reaction that takes place inside the living body, be it respiration, where food is transferred, food is converted into energy, be it photosynthesis in plant. Photosynthesis is plant where CO2 plus water is transferred into food. Everything requires water. Everything requires water. All the reaction that takes place inside the cell requires water. Not only the reactions, biochemical reaction, water is useful in our daily life as well, in our day-to-day life as well. Without water, life is unimaginable. All right. And water is also used as coolant, or when we feel a lot of when we feel hot, very hot, we drink water to cool ourselves. Animals drink water to cool themselves. So water also used as coolant, as a temperature regulator of our body. After compiling in the there is an activity given which you see. So the distribution of water around the globe is very uneven. So hence people had to put much effort to fetch water in certain areas where there is scarcity of water, and in the urban areas there is water supply which often get disrupted and people face problem there. So water is obviously there are factors that results in shortage of water, like deforestation, like urbanization. When we build a lot of when there is a lot of human construction, the underground water reservoir is disturbed, the water cycle is disturbed when there is deforestation. So we have to take care of that. Now water pollution. Water pollution. What is pollution actually? Before, I have already discussed air pollution, but before that, what is pollution? Pollution means when unwanted things are added to something, we pollute this thing. So when we add unwanted substance in air, it is air pollution. When we add unwanted things in water, it's water pollution. Water dissolve the fertilizer and pesticide that we use in our farm. Some of our So water pollution. So let me discuss some major or prominent sources of water pollution. See, the insecticide or the pesticide that are used in field, they are basically what they are non-biodegradable, means what they cannot be broken down. So when it rains and when this rainwater runs off from the land and it goes to the water bodies, this pesticide and insecticide and other harmful chemical, they also run off along with the water and they accumulate in the water body, and as a result they do what? They pollute those water body. Similarly, if you take a look at the factories and the industries, they are located near the water bodies, mostly the river, and the effluent or the waste that are generated in those factories, they are directly or indirectly they are released in the water, which also pollutes the water. So if you look at the condition of Yamuna river, which is very pathetic, this is due to the wastage released from the industries mostly, and obviously domestic waste are also sometimes are released directly in the water, so they also pollute our water. The addition of undesirable substance in the water, be it fertilizer, pesticide in farming, it could be poisonous. Mercury salt are used in paper industry. So basically what I said, that the use of pesticide, insecticide and other chemical in agriculture they run off with the rainwater, running water, and they accumulate in the water bodies and they pollute it. At the same time, industries also release their harmful chemical in the water bodies. The removal of desirable substance from the water body is used by animal. Now what do they do? So when a water body is polluted, the oxygen level of that water body will decrease. And when the oxygen level of the water body will be decreased, then the organism like fish that are present in that water body, they will face hard time to survive in that water body. So when oxygen level will decrease, so due to pollution, the acidity of water body will also increase. So this will result in what? This will result in the suffering of the aquatic or the organism that are found in the water bodies, and it will result in the death and damage of the organism that are found in water. So not only due to pollution, water pollution, oxygen level and acidity, but the temperature of the water body will also increase. So when oxygen level will drop, acidity and temperature will increase. This will create harm to the aquatic or any organism that are found in water. Now see, there are some microorganism that are found in bacteria that require specific type of acidity. If the acidity is more, they cannot survive. Then a prescribed level they cannot survive. If the temperature is more than a prescribed level, they cannot survive, which are basically an important part of the water biodiversity. And there are fish whose egg cannot be fertilized if the temperature and acidity is not within certain prescribed limit. So if these parameters of water quality index is disturbed, so it will be hard for those organisms to survive. Next is mineral riches in the soil. Mineral riches in the soil. Obviously there are a lot of minerals which are found on the soil. We'll discuss it. Soil is an important resource that decides the diversity of life in an area. But what is how is it formed? Okay, now how is soil formed? Let us discuss it first. So suppose this is a rock. Suppose this is a rock. This is suppose a rock. So when something is heated, what does happen? We know that when something is heated, it expands, and when something is cooled, it contracts. So due to increase and decrease in temperature, this rock will increase and decrease. As a result, what will happen? There will be cracks on that rock, and the rock will break down and it will form the soil. Another one is that when there will be rain, so the rain will flow through that rock, and it will do what? It will wear away and wash away the sand particles from that rock, and it will make the soil. And one more thing is that the action of air will also break down the rock. So we see the temperature, air and water play an important role in breaking down the rock. If you look at a river, you see that the river also break down and washes away the rocks around nearby its bank, and it creates the soil. That's it. There is nothing more to discuss. So when these rocks are broken down, they form soil. And this soil have pores and in them, and they are loose, and they facilitate the plants to grow on them. Now when an animal or plant dies, or when anything dies, so it will be decomposed in the soil, and its remains will be there on the soil. So different decaying living, and it will form the humus. Now what is humus? Humus is the dead and decaying remaining of plants and animals that is found on the topsoil. which is very important component of the soil. There will be of course microscopic organism, and which all of the things will facilitate the growth of plants. And since soil contained a lot of minerals in them, so this will do what? This minerals will help the plant to grow. So plant require minerals, so they obtain their mineral from the soil. And since the soil is porous, means what? They have hole in them and they are loose. So water, they do what? They go through the soil, pores of the soil, and they gather or they accumulate underground, and this form the underground water reservoirs. So the underground water is obtained from this underground water reservoirs. So now what happened? So nowadays when farmer cultivate, or in agricultural field, we see that farmer use artificial or synthetic fertilizer, pesticide and insecticide. So they do what? They kill the important microorganisms that are found on the top soil. So as a result, what happened? It destroys the soil quality. All right. Next is biogeochemical cycle. So this is the most important part. There are 3 to 4 biogeochemical cycle. We will discuss about it. There is water cycle, which we have already discussed, the nitrogen cycle, the carbon cycle, and the carbon cycle is there. Yes, carbon cycle is there, and the oxygen cycle. The nitrogen cycle. Try to understand the nitrogen cycle. It's very complicated yet very easy. So why nitrogen is first of all required? Let us know why nitrogen is required. How nitrogen is required? So nitrogen is required for a lot of things. So the essential protein or vitamins that are found in our body are made up of nitrogen. Consist nitrogen. Nitrogen makes up the 78% of the atmosphere. It is also part of any molecule essential for life of protein, nucleic acid, DNA, RNA, some vitamin, and nitrogen is found in the other biological important compound. Nitrogen is thus essential nutrient of life form. Would be simple life from good atmosphere. Nitrogen, bacteria life from nitrogen. This nitrogen fix. Okay. Now nitrogen are a very vital part of the life form, because the basic element of any life form, that is the DNA and RNA contain nitrogen. Now since the air contains around atmosphere contains 78% of nitrogen, so it should be that we could have collected nitrogen directly from the atmosphere. No, it is not possible. So there have to be a certain system which allow the fixation of nitrogen, which allow us to get nitrogen. So this system or this cycle is known as nitrogen cycle. So nitrogen is present in the atmosphere. Nitrogen of atmosphere. Now, first of all, what will happen? The nitrogen will be fixed. Don't worry, I'll discuss it. Nitrogen will be fixed. Now, who will fix this nitrogen? So there are some plant or there are some bacteria which are called nitrogen fixing bacteria. Nitrogen fixing bacteria. So these bacteria will do what? They fix the atmospheric nitrogen in plants for the plants to use. So bacteria like Rhizobium, Nostoc, Anabaena. So this bacteria, they fix atmospheric nitrogen for plant, so that plant can use. Suppose this is a plant. So in the roots of the plant, these bacteria will be there. In the root nodules of those leguminous, especially leguminous plant, so they will do what? They will fix those atmospheric nitrogen for the plants to use. So when the plant will use the atmospheric nitrogen which is fixed by the nitrogen fixing bacteria. Alright, so plant will use that nitrogen. So obviously when plant will use that nitrogen, it will become a part of plant protoplasm. Means what? It will become a part of plant. Protoplasm means content of the plant, we can say. So after that, this plant will be consumed by animals. So now this nitrogen fixed by the nitrogen fixing bacteria which is in plant will be a part of animal protoplasm. Will be part of animal. Now when animal, they will do what? When animal, they will excrete the waste, excrete waste in the form of urine. In the form of urine, they will do what? So they will release this nitrogen. They will release this nitrogen in the form of ammonia. So our urine or urine of animal, they contain nitrogenous compound like ammonia. Ammonia contain nitrogen. So with the excretion of waste material, this ammonia will be there, which is a nitrogen containing compound. Now okay, similarly plant also will release ammonia. Animal release ammonia and plant will also release while excretion, plant also release ammonia in a process known as ammonification. First of all, we see nitrogen is fixed by nitrogen fixing bacteria. Then we see that from plants nitrogen is from plants animals obtain nitrogen, then they release through excretion. Here plant also released nitrogen in the form of ammonia through ammonification. Next we do what? Now this ammonia will be converted into nitrites by some organism found in this nature, and these nitrites will be converted into nitrates by some bacteria, and finally due to denitrification, okay, let me say, they will be again released into the atmosphere. So these two processes are a result of denitrification. Again I will discuss it, don't worry. Now firstly, the nitrogen of the atmosphere will be fixed by nitrogen fixing bacteria in plant. So plant animal will get this nitrogen, then both of them will excrete, plant will excrete nitrogen in the form of ammonia, whereas plant will release ammonia in the form of ammonification. Then this will be turned into nitrites, and nitrites will be denitrified. There is another set of bacteria that perform this denitrification. So then they will be again released into the atmosphere. So this is one cycle. But here in some atmospheric condition or in some industries, so when there is lightning, so due to intense pressure and heat, due to intense pressure and due to intense temperature during lightning, and in some industries, this atmospheric nitrogen is directly fixed and it is converted into nitrites. Directly it is converted into nitrites, and later on due to denitrification it again turns into nitrogen. So the nitrogen of the atmosphere, when it goes through the living world and it again goes back into the atmosphere, this whole cycle is known as nitrogen cycle. So next up is the carbon cycle. Carbon cycle, is it carbon cycle? Yes. Carbon is found in various, carbon is the most abundantly found element in our atmosphere, in our surrounding. So we see substance like coal, graphite, and even diamond is made up of carbon. So carbon along with hydrogen form hydrocarbon. Don't worry, carbon plus hydrogen, so they form hydrocarbon, which is a very vast. So we say these are You will study hydrocarbon in your organic chemistry. So this is a very vast or very huge amount, a very huge field. Hydrocarbon itself a very huge field. You will learn it in your higher classes. Okay. While all life forms are based on carbon containing molecule like protein, carbohydrate, fats, nucleic acid and vitamins. So everything, every component that are found in living organism contain carbon, be it carbohydrate, be it protein, be it vitamins, everything has carbon in it. So there are some organism whose exoskeleton, exoskeleton means what? Exoskeleton means what? The hard skeleton like substance that is found outside the body, in short, shell. Tortoise, the shell of a tortoise is an exoskeleton. The shell of a snail is its exoskeleton. So most of the exoskeleton are made up of carbon. Now we see that plant also needed carbon to carbon dioxide to make it prepare its food, and from the plant the rest of the living organism get their own supply of food directly or indirectly. Now without okay, now let us learn the carbon cycle. CO2 in the atmosphere. So there is carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Now plant will do what? Plant will use this carbon dioxide. Plant will use this carbon dioxide. How will they use carbon dioxide? I have said they will use this carbon dioxide along with water to prepare their food. Now when the plant will use this carbon dioxide to prepare their food, then animal will also consume this plant for their as a food, right? We see that first of all the plant fixes or plant uses carbon dioxide directly from the atmosphere, and then the animal consume that plant. Next, when animal respire, or when animal respire, they release carbon dioxide and it goes back to the atmosphere again. All right. Now when this plant are buried under earth long millions of years back, so this plant have turned into coal. How is coal formed? Coal is formed when plant bodies are got trapped inside the earth, and due to heat and pressure this plant turned into coal. And similarly, plant along with animal will form the petroleum. Now how petroleum is formed? When millions of years ago, thousands of years ago, when animal and plants they got buried inside the earth, they form petroleum due to heat and pressure. But coal is exclusively made from plant, whereas in petroleum we see both animal and plant play a part. Now when this coal and petroleum is burnt or combusted, they will produce carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide, which will get released into the atmosphere. Now there are some, as I have said previously, there are some animals which directly fixes carbon dioxide, use carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, some sea animal, to make their shell. First of all they will the carbon dioxide will mix with the sea water to form carbonates, and these carbonates will be used by those animals to make shells, like corals, oysters. They make shell using those carbonate. So when after forming this shell, when this shell will be again decomposed, it will release carbon dioxide, which will go back in the atmosphere. So we see the cycle of carbon cycle here. Next out is the greenhouse effect, which I have already discussed. So there is nothing more. The last one is the oxygen cycle. This is the simplest one. So in order to understand this one, we have to understand two reactions: the respiration and the photosynthesis. In respiration, what happens? The food obtained by the food obtained by animal, that is, will react with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide, water plus energy. Similarly, in photosynthesis, plant uses carbon dioxide, water to prepare its food and release oxygen, right? So we see that these are opposite of one another. Here, okay, these are the two formulas or two reactions which you see, that here food plus oxygen gives out carbon dioxide, water and energy. Here carbon dioxide and water, they form the energy plus food, right? Now in oxygen cycle, what happened? The atmospheric oxygen will be first used by animals, and when animals will use this oxygen, they will release what? They will release carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide will be used by plants to prepare food, and then finally they will again release oxygen into the atmosphere. First of all, what? From atmosphere, animals will use the oxygen and they will break down their food to produce energy, and on the process, what will happen? During the process, what will happen? Carbon dioxide will be liberated, and this carbon dioxide will be used by plant to prepare its food, and they will liberate oxygen, which will be back into the atmosphere. Similarly, water is also first of all, water is let me see, oxygen in the form of water. So animals will in animal reaction, in respiration, we see they release water. The animal release water. So this water is used by plants to prepare their food, and from this again oxygen will be released. From water H2, oxygen will be released again back into the atmosphere. So this is a very easy one. I hope it's not very tough for you to understand, but if you still have any problem, mention in the comment section below, and it will be much more useful or helpful if you can contact me directly via my contact. Next is ozone layer. Ozone layer. Ozone is O3 is ozone. So I have already said ozone layer is a protective layer. Element of oxygen is normally found in the form of diatomic molecule. Oxygen is normally found as O2, but O2 is normally oxygen, is normally found in oxygen, is normally found as oxygen molecule, but O3 is ozone. And thus, unlike the normal diatomic molecule, it is stable near, but it performs essential function. When it is found, it absorbs the harmful. So let me tell you in very simpler form. Earth is surrounded by a layer of ozone or O3. So this O3 helps what? So the harmful radiation, UV radiation, it absorbs the UV radiation from, it does not allow, or it absorbs the UV radiation of the sun to pass through the earth, and it saves us from this harmful UV radiation. But with certain gases like CFC, as I have said before, chlorofluorocarbon, they deplete the ozone layer. Means what? They create holes in the ozone layer, and this harmful radiation comes in contact with the animal kingdom and they harm us. So in order to fix that ozone layer depletion, we need to what? We need to reduce the use of this CFC and other harmful gases. So that is it. This chapter has ended here. If you have any more doubt, do mention in the comment section below, and if you contact me directly, it will be more useful or helpful for me. And do subscribe to Al Hira National Schools channel and click the bell icon so that you don't miss a class. That's it. Have a good day. Thank you.